Joining us now live is political scientist Benjamin Radd. He's a senior fellow at the UCLA Berkel Center for the International Relations, currently teaching at USC. Ben, welcome back to The Story Is. We are watching this funeral happen now live in Tehran. We have live pictures of it. The question is, he died a long time ago. Why is this happening now?
It's not because it's the 4th of July, and it's not because there's a wedding taking place in New York City. I think they're waiting for Mojtaba, the son. They were waiting for him to emerge, for him to basically take the reins of leadership, for the torch to be passed. That didn't happen. It still hasn't happened. I think that's the central question here. We haven't seen him. Many expected him to make some kind of appearance or statement, and I think they waited as long as they could, and they needed to have this ceremony.
Where do you think he is?
Incapacitated. I'm not convinced that he is functioning or able to function. I mean, they couldn't even do like a voice recording, something where him, reciting a passage or verse from the Quran, a prayer, something as an homage to his father to acknowledge what they see as the martyrdom. Nothing. So,
I mean, could it be a security concern that they don't want him out there in public?
They don't have to have him out there in public. They can have a video message. They can have an audio message. They can have it beamed from someplace secure. I mean, there's ways to do this to at least indicate that the torch has been passed, right? And we didn't see that. Instead of honoring or heralding the new leader, they're honoring a dead one.
Yeah.
And that tells you something about where the regime is.
So we see a massive crowd that's out there right now. We know that this is part of a multi-day, multi-country celebration, including going to Iraq. What's the significance of that?
Yeah, that's a good point. And Iraq is it's a central part of Iran's axis of resistance. It's proxy groups. There are Shia militia there who operate at the behest of the Iranian government. This is about Iran extending its reach and demonstrating to the world and to the regional powers that Iran still has clout and influence within those countries with those militia groups there, and allowing them to demonstrate that fealty by taking the procession into neighboring countries.
And speaking of influence in other countries, we do see several other countries, China, Russia, others from the region, who are sending leaders there, but not their top leaders.
Not only not their top leaders, something interesting. As each of the leadership, as each contingent, each delegation came through, there were passages from the Quran that were recited out loud. And the ones that were chosen were aligned to send a message. So when the Saudi delegation came, it was alluding to a war that took place, a battle that took place in Arabia during the Prophet's time, and it was around that time, and it was almost as a snub to the Saudis. When the Chinese came, it had a different tone. The Russians as well. So it was interesting how not only who showed up, but what message was played alongside that delegation that mattered.
Why aren't they sending their top people?
Well, I'm not sure if they want to do. I'm not. In these diplomatic sensitive moments, they send top people when they want to send the message that the relationship is at that level. They're not at that level. I mean, these are countries that essentially indirectly fought each other. Iran launched missiles at many of these countries, so they're not at the stage where they're ready to acknowledge that that's the stage, that's where they're at.
Meanwhile, all this is happening while there's this back and forth about this memorandum of understanding, still no real deal with the United States to end this war. How do you see the status of things?
We're in a 60-day negotiation period. It's difficult to see anything getting done, so the president will most likely extend that as he's been doing. Meanwhile, Iran has benefited from the temporary lifting of sanctions, allowing Iran to sell its oil on the open market in U.S. dollars and bringing in billions per month in the process. And the U.S. has not gotten its end of the deal, which is a complete opening of the Strait of Hormuz and safe passage for all ships. So it's lopsided at the moment.
And we expect, at least over the next few days, with these big crowds out there, that there will be sort of a cessation of any sort of violence.
It would not be in any country's interest right now to raise the temperature while this pageantry is happening. It would play into the hands of the Iranians from the U.S. and Israeli perspective,
Ben, thank you very much. Of course, we will keep an eye on these ceremonies throughout the weekend here on CNN. A lot more to come on that front.